I'm currently laugh if you didn't expect me to be here.
Because I don't sometimes where I hear that sound notification first before
Hmm.
your
Yeah,
voice.
the beep. Yeah, the dude.
Yeah,
It is.
I didn't hear it. That was so weird, man. Okay, that was a good poop. I'm ready to go. Get the streaming started. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
I threw the old tarp away because it smelled like cat piss. But I
It's
know it's
so.
not cat
Uh,
piss. I know it's cat marking.
hmm,
It smells like watered down cat pee.
babe,
Yeah.
the what's it, how am I call it? Magic the Gathering. How many deck?
Hmm.
How many cards do you need for a deck?
It depends on what format you want to play.
So you gave me Commander. What does that do?
Commander's 100 cards.
100? What the hell? Is that supposed to be really, like, what? Really strong?
It depends on what you build. It can be really weak or really strong.
How many formats are there?
I want to say four.
4? And how do you start the game off? How does the layout look like? I could look this up, but like, I want to hear it from you. Hello? Okay, I hear you. Muted. And like, how can you tell a card has a rarity value? What do you look for?
Precision is the defense. This'll be a
Ziggs.
blast.
First match of the night. Oh, never mind. Someone dodged.
Your emperor has returned. You cannot know strength until you are broken.
Damn it! I wanted Yumi. I mean Nami. Oh, thank you.
I decide what the tide will bring.
Thank you, good sir. Fuck, there's Mythmaker Nami. Don't even think about it, Mecha. Don't even think about it. Not yet. Trying to buy a new skin right now. I could boost. I just want to try out the skin. Grazie, ragazzi. Someone's Italian. Dude. No. I don't know. I say you're welcome. Oh, MF doesn't have a skin. Yo, I like this guy. Instagram. Durag Dragon. He plays Pokemon Pocket. It's funny. He's funny as fuck. Durag Dragon.
No, really. Put that out, Lauren.
I'm going for the health relic. Mega ulti.
Shut down. Ally has been slain.
Easy. So easy, bro.
Swim at your own risk. Sure as
Bro, what is she doing? Nice job, Dash. Very nice.
I don't know what it is.
Huh?
I'm scrolling through Facebook.
Oh.
Mm. Oh. Mhm.
Yo, easy. Got him. I haven't played this in a while. Yet, I still got it. Easy game. Good job, baby.
Woo!
Good job.
What did I do?
You cheered me on.
Woo!
That's so
I'm
cute.
gonna,
You were
I'm
like, what
gonna
did
do,
I do?
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
Do it. Hey. So yeah, as I was saying, how do you start off the game and how do you set it up? What
Okay,
is
so we'll click on the link I sent you in the Discord message between us two.
I just want like an overlay, you know, how it looks.
Well, it's like Yu-Gi-Oh but backwards. You ever play Yu-Gi-Oh before?
Uh I forgot.
Oh, just here. Just click on the video. I also need a refresher.
The video?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Where is it? Oh,
It's
here. How
on.
to play Magic the Gathering.
It's like 15 minutes, if that's okay.
So I found this site called box.gg that'll let you unbox packs on their site and then they'll ship the physical cards straight.
I'm gonna mute
Magic the
myself,
Gathering is
so.
a collectible card game that is
Well,
fun,
Because like
complex,
I
yet
want to
simple.
learn
The game requires
different
some
types of card
critical
games.
thinking, combinatorial mathematics, creativity, and
I can't really
imagination,
hear
and
your
all
stream.
while
Hold on.
part of a socially
Mm.
interactive experience with others. This video will teach you everything you need to know to play in a matter of
Wait,
minutes.
hold on. Pause the
From rules
video,
and mechanics
please.
to what to
Okay.
I'm gonna mute myself and turn up. Maybe I need to get off the call so I can actually. I'm gonna get off the chat, see if it makes your stream louder.
Okay.
I'll message you in the chat if it works.
All right.
expect over the course of a turn. Magic the Gathering is one of my favorite games. In fact, I'd say it's my absolute favorite game, and I'd love to share it with you. The game's basic premise is fairly straightforward. Using a 60-card deck, draw 7 cards, play 1 land per turn, cast spells using mana from those lands, attack your opponent with your creatures, or use them to block your opponents as they try and attack you with theirs. While that might seem simple, there are currently more than 20,000 unique Magic cards, to which hundreds are added each year, all of which ensures no two games will ever truly be the same. Magic is a TCG, a trading card game, and trading cards with friends is one of the more fun ways to build your collection. Many Magic the Gathering players start with some booster packs or starter decks, or even a deck builder's toolkit, and slowly build their decks from there. In order to play a game of Magic, you'll need a 60-card deck. At its most basic level, a deck is made up of lands and spells. Spells are what you cast to play the game, and lands are the resources you draw power from to cast your spells. The basic template is that you play 24 lands in a 60-card deck. Of course, this number can vary depending on how the deck is constructed, but generally speaking, 24 lands should be fine. The spells you include in a Magic deck are all of the cards that have a mana cost. These can be creatures, artifacts, enchantments, instants, sorceries, and even the iconic planeswalkers that you may recognize from Magic's story. Creatures are the bread and butter of your decks. They'll be fighting and can have synergistic abilities. Artifacts and enchantments augment your board's state and can offer bonuses and buffs to the cards you have in play. Instants and sorceries are powerful one-time effects, like destroying creatures or drawing cards. As you can see in the corner of a card, mana costs tell you how much mana you need to pay for the card. The different colors of mana in Magic represent the power you can draw from the 5 different basic land types. Plains generate white mana, islands blue, swamps black, mountains red, and finally forests produce green mana. Naturally, if you build a deck with red and white cards, you'll need lands that can produce red
like
and white
Pokemon
mana. So plenty of
with their
plains and
types.
mountains. As you explore new cards,
I
you may
see.
discover lands that can generate more than one color of mana, which are very useful when building a deck with more than one color of spell in it. The mana cost of a spell will generally have either a generic cost, represented by a number in a gray circle, a colored mana cost, represented by a colored symbol, or, more commonly, a mixture of the two. This shock costs 1 red mana to cast. We can pay for it by tapping a mountain to generate 1 red mana. This short sword is 1 generic mana to cast. This means we can tap and pay for this with any color of mana, whether that be a red mana from a mountain or even a green mana from a forest. Falcon or Adept costs 3 generic and 1 white mana. This means that at the very least you have to pay 1 white mana in order to play the spell. The rest of the mana can be any kind you like, so we can pay 3 red and 1 white, or even just 4 white if we wanted to. The important thing to remember here is that you must pay the color requirements, even if the generic requirements are flexible. To generate mana from a land, we tap it. Tapping indicates we have used the resource for the turn, and is a handy way to remind both players that the resource has been used. Don't worry, when you start your next turn, you'll be able to untap and use them again. Each player starts with 20 life points. Your goal is to reduce the life total of your opponent to 0 before they can do the same to you. Turns consist of playing 1 land a turn to increase your resources, playing increasingly powerful spells, and sending creatures into combat when you feel like you have a strong attack to make. The easiest way to whittle the life points of an opponent down is through creature combat. A creature card has a mana cost, a type line, which tells us what it is, in this case a dog, rules text, which is any text in the main text box of the card, and unlike the other spells you cast, has 2 numbers in the corner. These are the power and toughness of the creature. Alpine Watchdog has 2 power, so when it attacks, it will deal 2 damage. It's not quite as simple as that, though. Your opponent will have plenty of hurdles for you to overcome in order to get to their precious life total. One thing the opponent can do is block. Alpine Watchdog has 2 toughness, so when it either blocks or becomes blocked, it can withstand a creature with 1 power, but will fall to a creature with 2 power or higher. While other TCGs you may have played might be different, in Magic, attacks are declared straight at the opponent. If we attack with our Alpine Watchdog, our opponent has the opportunity to block. They may block with their Liliana Steward, a 1/2 zombie. In this case, the zombie will be dealt 2 damage and will go to the graveyard, but our Alpine Watchdog will take 1 damage and survive the combat. If, though, our opponent decides to block with their Walking Corpse, then the creatures will be evenly matched. Both creatures will end up in the graveyard. There are different ways to buff your creatures by using different spells, and also ways to nerf an opponent's creatures or even remove them entirely. This is required in order to get past the stronger creatures your opponent might play. Sitting across from a Colossal Dreadmaw, our Alpine Watchdog won't quite do it. The next important thing to learn is the difference between cards that stay in play when you play them, and cards that resolve their effect and then go to the graveyard. The play area in which you play is commonly referred to as your board. Your board consists of the battlefield, where you'll keep any cards that are in play, your library or deck, and your graveyard, which is where cards go when they leave play. There's also the Exile Zone, which is super out of play, but that's used less commonly. Each land you play stays in play unless an effect declares otherwise. The same is true for creatures who stick around to fight, artifacts and enchantments, and planeswalkers. These are effects that are permanently in play until removed by your opponent. As such, we call them permanents. That leaves 2 other categories of spell: instants and sorceries. These spells represent the impressive feats and arcane magics you might employ to help you achieve victory. And once their effect is resolved, they are discarded into the graveyard. Thankfully, it's fairly straightforward to remember which spells are permanents and which are not. The clue is in the name. An enchantment is a lingering effect, while an instant is, well, gone in an instant. So you've got a deck of 60 cards, you've got your 24 lands, and an assortment of 36 spells of varying cost. You have your goal: get the opponent to 0 life points. How do we play? To start the game, each player sets their life total to 20, which you can track with a spin down d20 or pen and paper. Decide who goes first using randomization. The most popular way to do this is to roll 2 6-sided dice each. Each player draws 7 cards, and then the player who is going first proceeds with their turn. Turns are broken up into phases, and at a high level, these phases are the beginning phase, the main phase, the combat phase, the second main phase, and the end phase. These phases can be further broken down into steps, which we will cover as we continue. The beginning phase includes the untap step. This is where you untap all of your permanents, including lands and creatures. The upkeep step, a time where many abilities will trigger. The draw step. Each turn, players add a card from the top of their deck to their hand. The only time you will not draw in your draw step is if you are playing first. On every subsequent turn, players draw a card in the draw step. Your main phase is for casting spells and playing lands in order to fuel your spells. You may play 1 land per turn unless a card specifies otherwise. You can cast as many spells as you like, provided you can pay the mana cost. Once you've tapped all of your land, that's it. You'll have to wait until next turn to cast more spells. The next phase is the combat phase. This is the time where you can play out your attacks. There's one thing to be aware of when it comes to creature combat, though. If you cast a creature spell, this particular creature is unable to participate in the current bout. The combat phase can be further split into steps. Firstly, we move from main phase 1 to the combat phase. Any triggers that say at the beginning of combat will trigger here. Once both players are satisfied, we move to declare attackers. During the declare attacker step, you may declare any creature that can attack as an attacker. This includes all creatures you were in control of from the start of your turn. To do this, tap the creature in the same way you would tap a land. This signifies it has been declared as an attacker. Once you have declared your attackers, the opponent will be able to declare their blockers in the declare blockers step. Only creatures that are untapped may block. So if they attacked last turn, they can't block now. They may block however they wish. Next is the combat damage step. Damage is calculated here. Creatures deal damage to each other with their power, and their toughness statistic determines if they succumb to this damage. Any creatures who receive lethal damage are sent to the graveyard, whether they attacked or blocked. Any creatures that weren't blocked will deal damage to the opponent. Hurrah! Take that, opponent! After the damage step, there is the end of combat step. Some abilities and effects will trigger here. After this step, we proceed to the second main phase. The second main phase is essentially the same as the first main phase. If you haven't yet played a land for turn, you may also play a land. After this second main phase, we go to the end phase. First of all is the end step. Here, any effects or abilities that last until the end step or trigger in the end step happen. After this is the cleanup. Here the player whose turn it is discards down to 7 cards again if they have 8 or more cards in their hand. We remove any damage from our creatures, and any effects that say until end of turn will end. Damage remains on our creatures until the cleanup phase. If our opponent's 3 toughness creature took 1 damage during combat, we would have a chance to do the remaining 2 damage with a burn spell in our second main phase. Or we could do that damage in the end step if that spell is an instant. I'll cover when you can cast instants later in the video, but what's important here is that your creatures do not permanently lose hit points or the like. Their toughness is refreshed during the cleanup step. After this, the turn passes to your opponent, who will take the same steps and phases as you, except this time you'll have the opportunity to block. Play continues until one player's life total is reduced to 0. This is easiest to achieve through attacking with creatures, but can be done with other spells. Burn spells in red are popular for this, and many can deal damage directly to the player. There's one other way in which a player can lose the game. If they run out of cards and cannot draw a card either during their draw step or when a spell or ability asks them to draw a card, they lose.
Taxes was waiting and wondering.
Lose the game. At this point, you know enough to play a game of Magic without too much trouble. The trickiest part about learning the basics of Magic, though, is priority and the stack. The stack is an elegant solution to the idea that players may respond to spells and abilities with their own spells and abilities. Unlike some other card games, an opponent may make a play during your turn, and vice versa. In order to understand exactly when you can make a play, you need to use the knowledge you've gained so far. First off, when you cast a spell, it will go on the stack. The stack is an imaginary pile of cards that a card will enter before it resolves. This is where counter magic comes in. If you're playing blue, this is where you can counter a spell. When a spell is on the stack, players may respond by casting any spell that is either an instant or has the keyword flash. This will place their spell on top of the stack. Players may respond in turn, passing priority between each other to see if they want to cast more spells to add to the stack. Once priority has been passed to the opponent and they do not declare a new spell, they will return priority to you, and the first spell on the stack will resolve. Spells on the stack will resolve in reverse order. So if we're in the combat phase and an opponent targets my Alpine Watchdog with a shock in order to deal 2 damage, I might get scared and decide, hey, I'd rather you didn't remove my dog. In this case, while the shock is on the stack targeting the Alpine Watchdog, I can cast another spell in order to protect them. So I can cast Invigorating Surge for 2 and a green to put a +1/+1 counter on my dog, and then double the counters, making them a 4/4. The dog then survives the 2 damage as the stack resolves with the last spell cast as the first to resolve. I couldn't, however, cast Basri's Solidarity to put a +1/+1 counter on each of my creatures. This spell is a sorcery and can only be cast at sorcery speed during my main phase. Going back to our example, if an opponent wanted to fire off another shock in response to my Invigorating Surge, that spell would resolve first. My Alpine Watchdog would die, and the remaining spells in the stack would attempt to resolve. If they have no effect now that the creature is gone, they simply fizzle, meaning they have no effect and are discarded. As you learn to play Magic, you'll learn a lot of Magic is played at instant speed, and at the last possible moment. This is one of the most enjoyable parts of the game, and can provide fun and intriguing gameplay as players bluff and try to one-up each other. So when can you cast an instant? Well, whenever priority is passed to you. And when is priority passed to you? Well, priority is passed whenever a player wants to move to another step or phase, or when they add a spell or ability to the stack. While it's pretty straightforward to understand what creatures and other permanents like artifacts and enchantments do, Planeswalkers are a rarer permanent and one that has special rules. Planeswalkers are the heroes of the multiverse, and they have abilities which can be activated once per turn during your main phase, anytime you'd cast a spell that isn't an instant. These are powerful effects, and the cost to use them is modifying the starting loyalty points that the Planeswalker entered the battlefield with. Liliana, Waker of the Dead, comes into play with 4 loyalty. Her +1 will add a point, and if you wish to use her -3 ability, you will subtract 3 loyalty points. You may only subtract the loyalty points they have. You may not activate the -3 if they only have 2 loyalty, for instance. When a Planeswalker has 0 points, they leave the battlefield and go to the graveyard. In this instance, their debt to you is paid and they owe you nothing else. There is one other way to remove loyalty points, though. A repeatable ability every turn is powerful, and so when you declare your attackers, you may declare your attackers at the Planeswalker instead of the player. Attacks and blocks happen as normal, and if the creature does get through and deal damage, the Planeswalker loses loyalty in the same way the opponent would lose life. It's as simple as that. You're now armed with enough knowledge to play a game of Magic. There are countless rules and abilities on creatures, though, and learning them all can take time. It's important to get a grasp on them, though, because they'll be how you win your games. Here's some of the most common ones you'll see. Haste. Creatures with haste can be played during your main phase and then immediately declared as attacker during combat. They do not have summoning sickness. Flying. Creatures with flying can only be blocked by creatures with flying or reach. Reach. Creatures with reach can block flying creatures. Death Touch. A creature with Death Touch will always deal lethal damage to an opposing creature by dealing only 1 damage, even if that creature's toughness is high enough to otherwise survive. First Strike. A creature with First Strike will deal its damage in an additional combat damage step that happens before combat damage. A 2/2 creature with First Strike then would deal lethal damage to another 2/2 creature without, and this creature would die from lethal damage before it can deal damage back. Trample. A creature with Trample can trample over blocking creatures. A Colossal Dreadmaw with 6 power can deal the remaining damage past lethal damage directly to the opponent. In this case, if they block with a 3/4 creature, the remaining 2 damage can be dealt past the blocking creature straight to the opponent as though the creature weren't blocked. Menace. A creature with Menace can only be blocked by 2 or more creatures, and never be blocked by only 1. Vigilance. A creature with Vigilance does not need to be tapped in order to be declared attacking. This means, if it survives, it will be able to block during your opponent's turn. Lifelink. A creature with lifelink will gain you life equal to the damage it deals. Indestructible. A creature that is indestructible can never receive lethal damage, not even from death touch creatures. Any effects that destroy a creature will not work. Hexproof. A creature with hexproof cannot be the target of spells or abilities your opponents control. Creatures can do so much more, and as you expand your knowledge and collection, you'll come across creatures that can destroy other creatures when they come into play. Creatures that can untap your lands, and even creatures that can grow and get bigger as the game progresses. I hope very much this video has been of some help to you. Where do you start? What do you buy? What's your first event going to look like? I have videos on all of these topics and more. What products to protect your precious cards are also available. Check out the links here and in this video's description to continue your Magic the Gathering journey. And, hit subscribe.
Dear God. This is difficult. This is harder than Pokemon. What the fuck? Oh my God. It's not that easy. Okay. So it's like Pokemon, but it's like harder than Pokemon. And so it's basically like League of Legends. Well, actually, no. It's like Dota compared to League of Legends. Dota is a little bit more complicated than League. That's how I see this. Damn. I don't know. I think I need more time. Like, I need to see actual gameplay, or like, you know how like in Pokemon they have like Pokemon Pocket, they'll go step by step tutorial on how to, do it and teach you step by step.
So, okay, grab your phone.
My phone.
You got it?
Yeah.
Go to your Play Store.
Oh, they have it?
Sort
Like-
of.
Oh.
There's this game. It's called MTG Arena. Do you see it?
Yeah.
Are you downloading it?
Yeah.
Okay. Make sure you go through the tutorial. It automates rules and mechanics. It's got step-by-step tutorial. You can practice at your own pace. They have free starter decks. And it's like visual.
Okay.
Doesn't explain why things work a certain way they work.
Mm-hmm. So those lands, right? They're like similar to energy, and you
Yeah,
need
exactly.
energy to attack, right? To
And
do
you
the
need
ability.
land to play a card.
Yes.
You don't need lands to attack.
So what I'm getting is it's just kind of similar to Pokemon, but it's like it's a little bit more complicated. So like the instance, for instance, is the same as items in Pokemon. Once you use it, it's discarded, right? And then spells, they're basically like tools. So you can attach those to like your monsters. Creatures, right? They're called creatures, not monsters. And it stays attached, right? The spells.
You just got to read the cards. The cards will tell you exactly what they do.
Okay.
And if you have any questions about the card, You can look them up. Magic is very specific, and they have rulings on their website. If you have a question about a specific card, if somebody tries to question it, like just
Yeah.
pull up the site. And then sometimes they'll change it. It'll be like third exclamation. No, because people be trying to do shit.
But man, like the attacks are so low though. So it's gonna take a while because you have blockers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can just endlessly block if you can, just to stall, to make the other ones, your backline, those attackers, more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just using it to stall. But like, so you just gotta get your life points to 0. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's gonna take a while. Because in Pokemon, the ones you like, the key is to knock out Pokemon in order to win, and you gotta knock them out 6 times, because you have 6 prize cards. It is the actual game, but if your opponent doesn't have a bench Pokemon, like a Pokemon on the side, right? That's not in the active play. And if he knocks out that active Pokemon and there's no bench, then you win the game. It's that easy. But this one, like, in order for you to win, you have to like reduce the health to 0, and you start off with 20. Okay.
Yep.
Can you increase it? Is there a card that
Oh
can
yeah, you
increase?
can.
Oh shit. It's gonna take a while. Oh my god. And let me guess. There's a card that goes directly to your player's health, right?
Oh yeah, they have lots of different cards for lots of different mechanics.
Shit. Just give me more time with this, okay? I will learn, because I just got on Pokemon, and I understand it now. I'm not saying that I'm like an expert. I'm still like novice. I'm considering myself a novice, but not a beginner. I'm a novice. I'm a novice at Pokemon, but I'm a beginner at, well, I haven't even played the game yet, so I'm not really like a beginner in Magic the Gathering. Cause like, I keep hearing about Magic the Gathering, and like how, yeah, it is the holy grail of like trading card game.
Mm-hmm.
Because bro, like the age to play is 13 and up. I could see now why. Like Pokemon is like so easy. Like you can understand it more easy.
How do you know? Oh, it said that on the boxes. That's where you got it from.
Yeah. Pokemon
I
is
was
6
like,
and
how
up.
do you know the age to play? Where the fuck did you see that?
It's 6 and up.
Oh.
Like even my little cousins know how to play. Like 2 of my cousins know how to play in like a day
Mhm.
with Pokemon. That's how easy it is.
Magic came out back in 1993.
Yeah, that's before Pokemon.
Oh yeah.
Way before. Pokemon came out late 1999 to be exact.
When we was kids. I guess it's not too far apart, but like you said, the age difference.
Yeah, the age difference.
Pokemon was easier to follow.
Way it is this designed for more of like mature players, you know.
Oh yeah, because especially since the artwork be kind of provocative sometimes.
Yeah.
Don't be sleazy.
I was looking at the cards. It's kind of very intimidating. The cards are kind of intimidating in the descriptions too. It's like,
Mhm.
what the hell is going on here in this one card? I do what and what now? Oh, but like the thing is, like in the app for Pokemon, the other one, Pokemon TCG Live, not Pocket, it's, I feel like they need to improve the UI. It's like the quality is kind of shit. So it's hard for me to read the cards, and then there's a timer ticking down, and I'm just like trying to read each card, especially the new fucking cards, and see their effects, what they do, and it's just like, bro, Cause like these new Pokemon cards now, it's like a bunch of shit going on. Cause you got like these the V-Star cards, right? So they have 3 separate abilities, and the first one's your basic, right? The basic ability, you just gotta collect the energy. Then the second one is like a little bit more complex, and then the third one is if it's an if you have this, then deal this damage. You know,
Mm.
the third one
Uh,
is like once they can do the third one, they can knock out any Pokemon because the damage is just ridiculous. It's like a one-hit KO move. And like the X Pokemons, the EX, V's, the V's, um, what's the other ones? Yeah, they're like more stronger, but if they knock you out, if those Pokemons are knocked out, you get like 2 prize cards. I think sometimes 3. Not sure. Oh, and like the new prismatic evolutions, like they have a fucking ability what that says that if you discard like 2 cards or 2 energy, then you take a prize card. I'm like, what the fuck is that card? Like you can just stack a bunch of evolutions and then just like us keep swapping them out and then use that ability. It's just like, yo, you're just gonna lose. It's a stupid ability if you look it up. Like the new prismatic EVs that like it just says discard 2 cards, then take a prize card. I'm like, bro, that's so stupid. That's so stupid. Like, who designed that? Like, it's cool and all. The artwork's good, but like, the abilities is kind of nonsense. Like, it's bullshit. Oh, and there's this stupid ability from because I was playing the Pokemon TCG live. This guy was just stalling, right? And I lost because he was just stalling. He never really attacked. He kept using this fucking Pokemon Snorlax, and its ability is once Snorlax is on active play, I can't retreat. Or that means like I can't pull back my active Pokemon to like the bench and swap, right? So and Snorlax had like a shit ton of health and he kept adding more health to it. So I can't even knock that Snorlax out. And he can't even do anything because like he has no energy to do an attack. So what ended up happening is I ran out of cards, right? So I didn't know that if you as soon as you ran out of cards before your opponent, you lose
oh shit.
automatically.
Oh damn.
So I was just like speechless. I was just like, bro, this man didn't even knock out any of my Pokemon. He just dwindled my cards down. That was the point. And he
It was
had
the
like
same in Magic.
I'm like, the fuck
You hear
is
me?
this? Yeah.
Same thing. Same thing in Magic. If you don't have any cards left in your deck, you lose.
So I wasted my time. I wasted my time playing with him.
Ah,
All right, back to League. The other game I want to learn is, or we should learn, is Legends of Runeterra. League of
Yeah.
Legends card game.
I mean, he had a video on that one too.
Oh shit.
You want me to
Yeah, after the
okay.
match,
Oh, okay.
I want to learn it. Because I already learned Solitaire, Poker, Blackjack, Pokemon. Let's see, what other card games I know? I know Old Maid. I know Uno. uh, Fear the power you do not
Did
see.
you watch the video I sent you on Facebook?
No, I haven't yet.
Oh, okay.
Wait, what is that? Maybe I did,
Nah, you would have known.
or maybe I forgot.
Nah, you wouldn't have forgotten.
Fine, I would have forgotten.
It's very specific. You wouldn't have forgotten.
Fine. Damn.
You gonna see why when you watch it.
There's this stupid Pokemon that I don't like.
That's the shit I don't like.
Or one of the few Pokemons I don't like in when it comes to battling is Celebi X and Goldingo. Goldingo? Something like that. I hate that so much. You play Pokemon Pocket, right? When you're facing against Celebi X, and you know he has the energy to generate the attack. So basically, the attacks, what it says is that like you flip a coin per energy attached to that Pokemon, it will do 50 times that damage per head. See how ridiculous that is? 50 times per heads,
Dang.
depending on how much energy you attach to that Pokemon. And it has a shit ton of health, so it's like tanky and it deals damage.
Double kill. Ace.
So maybe. Job. Nice job. Let's fucking go.
Hello,
Hello.
it's me.
Hello, baby.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello,
It's me.
it's me.
Mhm. I'm out of mana.
I'm out of patience.
Sorry.
Somebody left their grocery list at Dollar Tree today.
Oh no.
I know, right? They handwritten it and everything. I felt so bad. They left it on the shelf.
Woo! Let's fucking go, baby. Nice job.
What are y'all doing? Get the fuck on somewhere. Hey. Damn, don't do that shit in front of me. Y'all know I don't like that. We're here fighting each other and swirling and twirling. Out of all the places in the goddamn house, they came in front of me and started play fighting. Now they're doing it in the living room.
I became a soldier.
Did he beat your ass or did you beat his ass? It looks like he was winning in here. What
Oh
happened?
god. Huh?
I'm talking to Mufasa. He came in here
Damn it.
making bird purrs.
Oh.
Listen, everything is not meant for you to use as a toy. They don't like cat toys, they like random shit around the house. The desk came with like play mats, like the big mouse pads, and with wrist rest, and with those little tiny clips that you use to like hold cords up on your desk.
Mm. Nice.
Right? They're the same brand as my gaming chair.
One can read the future in battle lines.
Alright, I'm gonna hop on the mom pod and see if it gives me motivation to do the shit I need to do.
Already.
Let's see if there's any drama going on over there. Drama! Let me see what's the tea. Because you know, after a while, when you get a bunch of women together, there's gonna be some type of stuff going on. Or it's gonna be really supportive and informative. I don't know what I'm gonna get. Maybe it'll be a karaoke night. Ooh, bye! I love you.
Hello.
We will. Oh, 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 oh. Stab him. Strike him. Punch him in the knee. Tomorrow's the Super Bowl. Bye. Wait.
Come on, bro. Shit.
You have been slain.
Ugh.
Double kill.
Nice.
Your team has destroyed a turret.
horde of soldiers.
Damn it. Damn. Oh my god. So tanky.
Enemy double kill.
We have to get the
Your inhibitor
squishies.
has respawned. Aced. Inhibitor has been destroyed.
GG. What? Did I log out? What happened to the app, man? There we go.
I recommend skipping.
Always trust your spirit.
Bro. What the hell? What happened? Repairing game? Hello? Oh, bullshit. I'm gonna do. Um, so slow. Why?
Ignorant thralls.
My blade is yours.
Jungle again.
Ignorant thralls. Always trust your spirit. Challenge what you know.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
We have learned as much as we have suffered.
30 seconds until demons spawn. A summoner has reconnected. A summoner has disconnected. Minions have spawned. A summoner has disconnected.
recommend skipping. You and me, we got this.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Today we are destroyers.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
Do you ever get so sleepy you fall asleep sitting up? Just me?
Minions have spawned. An enemy has been slain.
Where's my fishy fish dish?
Unstoppable.
Nice job, Yasuo.
Rampage.
Stalks the battle. Brighter than my shiny light. I guess we're going this way.
Dominating.
Ooh.
Where's my fishy fish dish?
An enemy has been slain. Double kill.
Red dot book. Here's some. Don't tell anyone, but I love hugs.
Let me come towards you, bro.
Your team has destroyed a turret. Destroyed a turret. Enemy has been slain. Your team has destroyed an inhibitor. Killing spree. Shut down.
GG, easy.
Double kill.
I won't lose you, book. Enemy double kill. An enemy has been slain.
Why?
Your team has destroyed an inhibitor.
Is it time to save the world again?
An enemy has been slain. Shut down. Double kill.
give it to Naomi. Naomi, then Fiora. Oh, they suck. Erica. Celebi. Dang.
Hey, you.
New FanDuel customers get $200 in bonus bets if their first $5 bet wins,
Riot Games is a company widely known for
which leads to some incredible highlights. I mean, look at them. This is why we watch the game. Just don't do that in my house. New customers get $200 in bonus bets if their first $5 bet wins, only on FanDuel.
Riot Games is a company widely known for making one of the most popular games on the planet, League of Legends. Whether you're a fan of the MOBA, a multiplayer online battle arena game, or not, you still might be aware of some of the more popular characters and lore about the game. After all, it is one of the most popular esports around. What you might not know, however, is that the same lore is the basis for a popular online card game, Legends of Runeterra. Legends of Runeterra is a free-to-play digital collectible card game, released in April of this year. It's the new kid on the block when it comes to digital card games, and so it has stiff competition from the likes of Hearthstone, Pokemon TCG Online, and even Magic Arena. Legends of Runeterra is free-to-play, and unlike most free-to-play games, it has been hailed as one of the least predatory economic models around. What's more, the game is incredibly fun, probably honestly one of the best new games I've personally experienced in years, and this video will teach you everything you need to know, from deck construction to gameplay and rules, in a matter of minutes. The first thing to do is head over to download the client. Once you've registered or logged into your Riot Games account, you can get it started right away. You'll be plunged straight into the prologue, a tutorial, and here the basics of the game are explained. Make sure you set aside a good 20 to 30 minutes for the first time you log in. Legends of Runeterra is a 1v1 card game, and the goal is simple. Each player must reduce the opponent's nexus from 20 to 0. To do that, players each bring a deck filled with allies and spells, and command their ally units to strike against their opponent's nexus. If you've played Magic the Gathering, you'll have a bit of a head start here, as the fundamental gameplay does share some similarities. The main mode of Legends of Runeterra is Constructed, and that's the mode you'll play the most. It's the default mode and the mode that you'll play when you choose to use the play versus player or play versus AI options. In the constructed mode of Legends of Runeterra, you can build a deck of up to 40 cards. Each deck can use cards from a maximum of up to 2 regions, and is limited to 6 champions per deck. 3 copies maximum per champion. If you've ever played other card games before, you'll notice this isn't dissimilar to how other games work when it comes to building decks. There are 6 different base factions in the game, each one with various play styles, strengths, and weaknesses. These factions aren't as firm as, say, the Color Pie and Magic the Gathering, but they do provide some basic structure and theme to the cards available. Abilities do bleed over, and so too do deck styles, but that's not to say they aren't distinctly different enough to feel unique in their own right. In short, the regions are Noxus, an aggressive faction that punishes injured units, and often cares about swarming units and damage to the opposing nexus. Demacia, a faction that cares a lot about big efficient creatures, choosing where our opponents block and combat tricks. Definitely the most mid-range faction. Ionia, the factions of ninjas and tricks, expect a lot of bouncing creatures back to hand, and stunning creatures to stop them joining combat. This faction also favors unblockable creatures too. Piltover and Zaun. This is the faction of mad scientists and experiments, and as such loves slinging spells and embracing random chants. Shadow Isles, the spooky faction, with lots of ways to profit from our own allies falling in battle, as well as hard removal and board wipe effects. Freyord, fight the cold with unity and big creatures. Lots of ways to synergize and ramp up to game-ending allies. More factions are added with new updates and expansions. Thankfully, when you start a new account on Legends of Runeterra, you'll be granted a number of starter decks that you can practice and play with right away. These decks have some powerful cards in them from the get-go, and are more than adequate to learn the basics of the game. So no need to worry about building a deck from scratch right now. Let's just learn how to play. Decks are made up of cards in 2 main categories that then fall into further subcategories. The main 2 categories are Ally and Spell. Allies are creatures, heroes, and monsters, and, when played, exist continually in play until they are defeated. Spells are one-shot effects that can be used for a buff or as a way of disrupting an opponent. Once they're used, they're gone. Let's look at the anatomy of a common card. For this video, we'll be looking at the Buff and Tough intro deck. Cytherea of Cloudfield is a basic ally card. Non-champion allies are known as followers. Her cost is in the top left corner, 1 mana. She can be played as early as round 1. Next, she has an orange attack number and a red health number. The attack number is how much damage Cytherea will deal to the enemy nexus or any blocking creature when she strikes. The red health number shows how much damage our ally can take before it dies. In Cytherea's case, it's 2. Unlike in other games, such as Magic the Gathering, damage isn't removed at the end of turn. Instead, it persists, and will weaken our allies' defense as the game progresses. Allies can be as simple as Cytherea, or much more complex with more abilities. Kindly Tavern Keeper costs 3 mana for a 3/3, and when we play him, we get the effect of healing either our Nexus or an ally for up to 3 points. Cards will generally be stronger and more threatening the higher they cost in mana. The other subtype of ally card is the Champion. Champion cards will be very familiar to anyone who plays League of Legends, as these are the characters from the game in card form. You'll be able to add up to 6 of your favorite champions to a deck. Whether as 3 copies of 2 different champions, which follows the deck building rule of 3 maximum copies of any one card, or by taking 6 different champions. In the Buff and Tough intro deck, there are 4 champions, 1 copy each of Braum, Garen, Lux, and Tryndamere. Champions are very powerful allies, and as well as limiting how many you can run, the game will display the champions of each deck to the players before the game begins, so that each player can strategize and plan around these powerful game pieces. Champions also have an additional ability outside of the strong abilities they have as part of their card. they can level up. Essentially, all champions will have a condition that, when met, will flip them into a stronger version of themselves. These conditions vary, and you do have to jump through a number of hoops in order to pull it off. The reward, though, is worth it. Lux is one of the heroes of the Demacia faction. At 6 mana, you'll not be able to play her before round 6. She has 4 attack power and 5 health. She also has some other abilities, like Barrier, which protects her from one source of damage the turn she comes into play, and lasts until the end of the round. Nice! Legends of Runeterra has a great way to investigate what a card can do. By right-clicking at any time on a card, you'll zoom in and be able to investigate what the card offers. Hovering over any yellow text abilities will bring up a pop-up window to tell us what the ability does. And if the card creates any other cards or allies, you can shuffle through and look to see what the other cards do. In Lux's case, when she sees you cast 6+ mana of spells, she'll level up. She also creates a Final Spark spell in hand. If we click on a blue text spell while we're zoomed in, we are taken straight to the spell to investigate what the spell does. It's a really easy to use and straightforward way to learn about the cards, and you'll find yourself using this tool a lot as you learn to play. One last caveat with champions. We can't have more than one of the same champion in play. If we do draw a second copy, while we have our champion in play, it becomes the champion's spell that's viewable when you investigate the champion. In Lux's case, she would convert additional copies to Lux's Prismatic Barrier. If the Lux in play leaves play, the spell converts back into a copy of Lux. If we cast that spell while we have Lux in play, we don't lose the champion in our hand. Instead, the spell will shuffle a copy of Lux into our deck. It's an elegant way to ensure we don't end up with too many cards we can't cast in our hand. Once you level up your champion, any additional copies of the champion in your deck also level up. So any other Lux we draw into will be the flipped version, if it's not converted into Lux's Prismatic Barrier. For now, we're not going to delve too deeply into each of the mechanics on the cards. Suffice it to say, champions are powerful, and when in doubt, reading the card explains the card. Spells are one-time effects and so don't have a power and health statistic. Let's look at Radiant Strike. Radiant Strike costs 1 mana to play and gives an ally +1/+1 this round. It has the Burst ability. This means it can be played at any time, including when attacking or blocking, and it also means it will resolve before an enemy has a chance to respond. The other two subcategories of spells are Fast and Slow. Fast spells can be played at any time, but do give the enemy a chance to respond. And slow spells can only be cast outside of combat at the same speed as playing an ally. They can be responded to and can't be cast to respond to a fast spell or another slow spell. It's a nice and easy to understand system and is comparable to the idea of instants and sorceries in Magic the Gathering. Spells like allies get more complex and more powerful. We've already seen one other spell when we investigated our champion Lux. When she sees us cast 6 or more mana worth of spells, she will add a Final Spark to our hand. Final Spark costs 0 to cast, which is a good job really, considering we already cast 6 or more mana of spells to add 1 to our hand. Final Spark deals 4 damage to an enemy, which is pretty sweet. By hovering over the icons in the text box, we can see that it's a slow spell, and it also has Overwhelm and Fleeting. Overwhelm means any excess of damage will be dealt to the enemy nexus, and Fleeting means we have to cast the spell this turn or we lose it. Now that we know what the main card types are, let's jump into a game and learn how to play.
Today, you don't mind the wait. You've got the all-new Caesars Palace Online Casino.
The player who starts first is decided randomly, and each player is given a starting hand of 4 cards. At this point, a player may opt to replace any of the cards in hand for another randomly selected from the deck. The goal here is to have a good selection of low to medium cost cards, and a good mana curve. Essentially, you want your spells and allies to gradually increase in cost, and to maximize the likelihood that you have something to do with your mana in the opening turns of a game. If you do want to replace some of the cards, you may click Replace on as many or as few of the cards as you wish before clicking OK to begin the game. The main way in which Legends of Runeterra differentiates itself as a card game is that it isn't played in turns, but rather in rounds. Each round, players alternate between being the aggressor and the defender. Most other card games give each player a turn to play cards and declare attacks, before passing the turn to the other player. In Legends of Runeterra, you may play cards on any round, but you may only attack on alternate rounds. To play a card, you need to have the initiative. The player who is on the role of the aggressor always starts with the initiative, and whenever they take a game action, the initiative is passed to the opponent to take an action. An action is either playing a spell or ally or declaring an attack. One thing to keep in mind is that you may only have 6 allies in play at any one time, and this goes for any allies created by abilities as well. So if you have 8 mana to cast a card like Tryndamere and try to close the game, you'll have to sacrifice another ally in play if you already have 6 on the board. Generally, you'll opt for a cheap one, or one that's already damaged. To declare an attack, you'll need to be in possession of an attack token. When you're the aggressor, you start the turn with an attack token, and you may declare your attack at any point in the turn, before or after taking other actions. If you're lucky, some spells and abilities can give you attack tokens to use when the opponent is the aggressor, effectively letting you attack 2 turns in a row. When a player in possession of an attack token wants to take an action to attack, it couldn't be simpler. Just drag and drop your ally units forward into the main play area. Once attackers are declared, the opponent may declare any blockers. Each creature may only be blocked by one other creature. Deciding whether to attack first or play more creatures to attack with is one of the biggest decision points in the game. So if you'd rather go straight to combat before playing spells, you can do so. This is a handy way to stop an opponent gaining the initiative, which will give them the chance to play an ally or a slow spell in reaction to your plans. If your first action is to attack, then you will move to the combat phase, and the opponent will have no opportunity to play allies or slow spells, and can only declare their blockers or play fast spells instead. The trade-off for attacking before playing more allies is that your attack force will be smaller, and your opponent will have access to more mana for casting, fast spells, and other tricks during combat. It's a really interesting tempo-based system, and it ensures that games are always interactive with interesting decision points. Once blockers are assigned, units deal damage to each other, and any units that receive lethal damage are destroyed. Damage otherwise persists for the rest of the game unless a spell or ability can remove it. Attacks are resolved sequentially from left to right. This means that you can set up buffs or other abilities to trigger mid-combat, creating a cascade of value. For example, the champion Darius will level up when the enemy nexus has 10 or less health. If you place him to the right of your field of attackers, there's a chance he can level up mid-combat, giving you a stronger unit as the combat phase progresses. It's one of those aspects that's simple to grasp, but has a lot of depth to it, so keep an eye out for ways to take advantage of it. Mana is the resource you need to cast spells and summon allies. In order to play a card, you must have the mana to spend to cast it. So, how do you get mana? Well, at the start of round 1, both players' pools fill with 1 mana automatically. On every subsequent round, the mana pool of both players increases by 1 point. So, on round 2, you'll both start with 2 mana, and on round 7, you'll both start with 7. This is a really cool system and means you're never stuck drawing into cards that can't be cast. Unlike in Magic, your decks don't need lands for mana, and unlike in Pokemon, you don't need energy cards either. It's a great way to ensure players don't suffer too much variance, while still providing limitations to what can be achieved in a turn. The idea of a mana curve, the order you cast spells, increasing in cost, is something we covered earlier. It's really important in Legends of Runeterra to be able to play to this curve, as it's the main limitation to casting your spells. A handful of 8 mana spells is not something you want to keep. Use that replace function to hopefully get some cheaper options for early game. There's one more great gameplay feature I'd like to cover to get you set up, and that's spell mana. Spell mana is a way to bank any unspent mana to save for future rounds. At the end of a round, up to 3 unspent mana are put into spell mana storage. You may keep this mana stored for as long as you like, and it doesn't empty between rounds. There's one caveat: it may only be spent on spells and not allies. More than just offering you the chance to maximize the mana you spend, spell mana helps to balance the game. If for whatever reason you don't cast as many spells as the opponent in the first 3 rounds, you'll end up going into round 3 with the potential of having 6 mana available to your opponent's 3. This is a great way to help catch up. Now you know how to play, but how do you build your collection? Legends of Runeterra has a fairly unique free-to-play scheme in that there are no traditional booster packs. You cannot buy random cards with real money. You can only buy wild cards, and even then, only a limited number per week. Unlike other competitors in the market, you can't just drop a bunch of cash to own all the cards at once. Instead, you'll have to play and earn rewards for the various progression systems, daily log-in incentives, and weekly rewards. Every day you'll receive new missions worth a decent chunk of experience, and it's not too difficult to fill out your daily and weekly goals. You can play versus the AI or versus friends. You can play ranked, you can play casual. It doesn't matter. Any of these will help grow your collection. It's a great way to support a free-to-play model and means you don't need to be an expert with dozens of hours of experience in order to queue and earn more cards for your collection. There's also an in-game currency in addition to wild cards, shards, which can be used to buy cards. Shards are earned through the various progression systems and also given to you in place of any cards you earn beyond the 3 copies you need for a deck. You'll get a percentage of the shard price for a card back when you open duplicates. Legends of Runeterra is a really fun digital card game, and though it's easy to pick up, it has a lot of depth and a lot of potential to grow into a game you'll want to come back to again and again. Gameplay is smooth and easy to grasp, and the progression and card building system is pretty fair and achievable. One advantage it has being a digital card game is that the game can use interesting mechanics like adding abilities, buffs, or debuffs to cards within the deck while you're playing the game. It opens up a lot of strategies and design space and makes for interesting deck building considerations. There's also the fact that due to having no paper-based game compatriot, Legends of Runeterra can be patched like any other video game. This means if a certain card turns out to be overpowered, it can be slightly adjusted to make it less oppressive without outright banning the card or strategy. It's definitely an advantage over competitor games like Magic Arena, which hasn't yet diverged from the paper cards available in physical booster packs. I hope very much this guide to playing Legends of Runeterra was helpful to you today. Let me know in the comments below what you think about the game and what game you'd like to see a video like this on next. Remember to like, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you really like the work that went into this video, hit that bell icon so that you can be notified when the next one goes up.